You're listening to the Social Selling Simplified podcast. Stick around if you too are obsessed with learning things that actually work and believe that success leaves clues. We're all about identifying results-producing roadmaps and getting super clear on how to scale and grow your online business. From part-timer to president, social selling expert Ashley Shaw will help you connect the dots and take the guesswork out of what works to grow a social selling empire. It's time to hear from social selling legends, listen in on truthful conversations, and learn the best tips and tricks to reduce the marketing overwhelm so you can build the social selling business of your dreams. If you're ready to go all in, no holding back, and build the business you've always wanted, you're in the right place. Here's your host, educator, social selling guru, and fitness industry OG, Ashley Shaw.
Welcome to Social Selling Simplified. I'm your host, Ashley Shaw. And in today's episode of Social Selling Simplified, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I manifested $1 million in sales in my business. So this is an episode that is, I'm going to say it's on the woo side of things, but I truly believe that the woo side of things has been the difference maker really for me in any business that I have run. And it has never let me down. So I'm going to be tying in some different concepts that I think really helped me to manifest $1 million in sales. And what were the actual steps I took to bring my business to that point of being a successful 7-figure business. So this all really started about 5 years ago. And this timing is sort of perfect because it is our 5-year anniversary of how long we have existed as a company that has been providing done-for-you marketing content. And this is where it all started from. So about 5 years ago, it was an October night, I had a crazy, crazy dream. And I say crazy because I am not usually the type that really remembers dreams. It's actually one of those things that when I did my DNA results, it told me that I was one of those people that don't remember dreams. So I have the DNA to prove that that is not usually something that happens for me. And I woke up from this dream and it was about 3 a.m. when I woke up from it and I couldn't fall back asleep. And I had this vision in my dream of being able to bring together all these leaders. And I was thinking about all these people I'd worked with in the past in the fitness and sales industry and bringing them to network marketing. And specifically at that time, I'd been having some conversations with a friend of mine, Bria, and she had a business in network marketing. She was a Beachbody coach. She still is a Beachbody coach. And I think I was just grinding on how I could really help her team because I knew that they were struggling in a couple of key areas. And her and I had got to talking. I had featured her on my blog it was probably within a couple of weeks of this. And I just was trying to figure out how I could help and what solutions I might be able to offer for her. And so I woke up from this dream, and when I had heard, from meditation gurus and things like that what happens in our external mind starts in our internal mind. I had a concept of what that meant, but I didn't really know what that meant. So if you haven't heard that before, it's basically saying that everything that we see on the outside of our lives starts with a thought and with a feeling and something that happens internally first. And the only way I can describe this is I had this dream and I woke up at 3 a.m. feeling so confident that this is what I needed to do. This was my calling and this is what was going to work. And I know it sounds a bit crazy, right? But it's just how I felt as soon as I woke up. I was like, okay, this is it. And even the name, the Fitness Leader Institute, which is what we started off with, it's what I knew I needed to name the business. I was going to be helping people in the Beachbody world to start, but I thought I could expand out because that had been the industry I had been in for probably 14 years or so at that point. When I had this epiphany and had woken up the ability of my brain to run me through exactly what I needed to do and then wake me at this peak state of, okay, we've shown you the way. Now it's up to you to carry this out. It was really, I don't know that you can recreate that for yourself, right? But I do know that there are certain things that have led to more of those events. And as I began to understand more and more about the brain and the neurons that fire, it became more and more clear to me that actually you could recreate this state and allow yourself to go to those places of what does it look like and how do I get the answers I'm searching for. So that was where this all really started. And I think what had always been missing for me in the past is having the confidence that this business would actually work, because you show up differently when you think something's going to work versus when you don't, right? There's so much research done about even the placebo effect and how people's bodies can create their own pharmacy of drugs when they think they're getting a certain pill or a certain medication. And when you think something's going to work, not only do you act and show up differently, but your body actually also responds differently. There have been many, many studies on these things, and Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about these, where when people thought they were getting certain types of medications, their disease, it disappeared after a certain period of time. If this is something that's of interest to you, I know I've mentioned this on the show before. There's a series that Dr. Joe Dispenza does called Rewired, and it is phenomenal. Like, it's just so life-changing to understand how the body works and the brain works. And I understand this might sound a bit woo to some people out there. I just can't help but look at the research behind it and rely on my own experience of what I've seen happen, in my own life. So the body reacts differently based on what we think and feel and the emotions that it drives. So I would say after I had this dream and I felt so confident, like no one could freaking stop me. It was like my body took over. I was all of a sudden waking up each day at, 4 or 5 in the morning, which I never had been like a person like that would wake up that early. It's like it just knew what the mission was and what I needed to do. And the actions behind it just started to follow. Like the motivation came, and then I was just really clear on where I needed to go and what I needed to do, and that this was the right thing. So that was where the business really started for me and how I felt like that first manifestation came to be. But then there's been a few others that have come alongside that. And what's interesting about them is that the more that I learned about how to create these manifestations and these things that I could feel deep in my bones and in my body and in all my cells, the more that it just started to create this rhythm of the things I wanted to happen in my life happening quicker and faster. And, when you're focused on what you do want versus what you don't, there's a big difference in that. So the second manifestation for me would have come probably, I remember I was I had joined a mastermind and I was working towards wanting to build this 7-figure business. And Rick was the name of my mentor in that mastermind. He talked a lot about mindset. And I had always thought I'm an entrepreneur. I get it. I have a good mindset, but it's not about just having a good mindset, whatever that means. It's about knowing what you need to do to prime your brain, because your brain is not equipped to deal with things that are risky. In fact, it puts us into fight or flight, and we are not our best. We're not great entrepreneurs, or I don't want to say great people, but you're not at your best when your body's in fight or flight and your body is just pumping cortisol through your body. So when I was working with Rick and, at these masterminds and events, I remember having this epiphany moment. He was talking about what it would feel like to have a $5 million business. And I remember him asking everyone in the room. And when it came to me, it was like I didn't have to imagine it. I could already feel what that was like. I was already living in the future present. And I felt like that was an interesting epiphany for me because one, not everybody felt that same way. But I remember that standing out as, okay, like, what am I doing differently? Because I felt so powerful in that moment. Like, again, the pattern here is my brain had already created it. It knew where I needed to go. And I was already feeling those emotions of abundance that would, come alongside with being at the business size, let's say, that I was looking to build and helping that many people and doing all those things. So when your body can feel what it feels like to already be at that goal, there's all these other chemicals and things that they're just not the same. Your body is at a different peak state when it's in creativity. And when you get to that point versus being in that scarcity mindset and that fight or flight and just feeling like nothing is working. And, I know what both sides of those things feel like. And there's definitely a different side of creativity that happens when you get on that side of being able to really, truly believe in your body that it's already happened. So that was, I think, the second thing that really pointed out to me that I was in a different state than I'd ever been before, being able to imagine what this world looked like at, having a $5 million business. And again, actions were different because I had that mindset. I wasn't afraid to make decisions. I didn't have one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. I was full steam ahead. And that was our first 7-figure year. And so from the time I had that dream to the time that I had that epiphany, it was about 4 years that took to get there. I think the one thing to remember here is that time is something we make up. It's going to take this much time to do this. It's going to take that much time to do that. I think that time is a construct that we come up with. And they always say the first $100,000 is the hardest to make because your mindset and your beliefs are they're not aligned yet. It's like you don't have that confidence to back it up. And maybe you haven't honed in on the visualization and the things you need to do to really manifest those things. But that was definitely a very pivotal time period for me. And really what just the main things that, really put it into full motion, because it took 3 years to get to about $10,000 inconsistently. And then it took 1 year to go from 10,000 to 100,000 a month. That is the difference of mindset, right? When you connect in and this is going to work. I'm confident. I know exactly what I need to do. There's no mindset blocks. That's the difference. Hey, coach, I finally have something that I've been dreaming of providing for you. I know that you definitely didn't start this business because you really felt like pestering your friends and family and getting ghosted by everyone. Chasing people down or having to follow up with them is definitely hard work, and it can feel so awkward and uncomfortable for everyone involved. But your upline probably told you that this is what successful people do. And they didn't mention to you that unless you're this superstar salesperson right off the bat, you're going to struggle forever if you keep doing it that old school way. 99% of coaches quit because they suddenly declare themselves this expert online and then go back and ask everyone who knew them to just start buying from them when they just started working out last week. And this problem applies to all network marketers, not just coaches. But the 1% that actually succeed have made it because they've caught on to a different system that's been proven to work. And it's just something that nobody really talks about. It's all about taking some simple steps to position yourself as an influencer first. So soon, instead of asking people to talk to you, you'll attract ideal customers who are already excited to learn from you and buy from you. They'll know exactly what you're about and how you can help them. Go to ashleyshaw.ca/FYourUpline to learn more and see exactly what I'm talking about. You don't have to hunt people down and make them talk to you in order to get your bills paid for the rest of your life. Check out my short book called F What Your Upline Said and get an entirely different approach that will feel much more organic and authentic. That's ashleyshaw.ca/FYourUpline.
I'm so excited for you to start implementing these 4 simple changes in your business and see how it absolutely transforms how you feel about your business and the results that you're able to get.
And I would say the third thing that really, again, this manifestation and how it really has been life-changing is I had this, again, I wouldn't call it a dream because I was meditating, but I had this vision, this very, very real vision of my daughter. And this was before I had her. This was after I had had 2 failed pregnancies, both that went to close to 18 weeks, feeling very not hopeful about having children and the future and those sort of things. And I was doing a Joe Dispenza meditation and I saw my daughter, that we were walking down the beach with her. She had blonde curly hair. And if you see her, you'll know it was her in that visualization. And I woke up from that and I was like, we are freaking having a baby. Like, she is coming. I don't know how it's going to happen, how, this is all going to transpire, but she is coming. I've seen her. I know she's coming. And it was probably within 6 weeks I found out I was pregnant. So to tie all these things together and how I think manifestation works with achieving these big, lofty goals that we have for ourselves is it's not enough to be stuck in your own habits. So it's actually, I said this on a past episode, it's 90% of your thoughts are repeating every day. So you only have about a 10% window to change the trajectory of your life if you are just going at it on autopilot. The difference is when you start to incorporate visualization and meditation and these sort of things, is that it helps you start to visualize what you actually want. And your brain doesn't know the difference. And the neurons in your brain make connections based on what you think about, and the emotions that you feel most consistently change what the chemistry is like in your body. So how I have found that manifesting and incorporating meditation into my life have made such a big difference is that the more that I can connect with thinking, changing my thoughts by thinking about what I actually want versus, normally we get stuck in patterns, right? Of fight or flight, what we don't want, and negative emotions that we tend to become addicted to that repeat over and over and over again. And we get stuck in those cycles. So meditation is really about helping to change your brain and the way that it's wired. And it's not just a meditate once and your life is going to be different. Like, it's really one of those things that you are digging for the golden nuggets, I find. I don't always have these crazy visualizations, but in watching the Rewired series with Joe Dispenza, I'm starting to understand why those sessions are so important and how to actually change, the neurons in my brain and what things are leading to those changes. I really, truly think that the connection that I made and what has been the life-changing experience, the aha moment of all of this, is when you can see it like a movie happening in your brain and you see it play out, you can become very confident that it is going to happen because you feel all the same emotions. Like, your body doesn't know the difference between when you vividly imagine something versus when it really happens. And that goes the same for stuff that's not productive too, right? When we get in these cycles and stages of anxiety and depression, and, that's being stuck in the past and being stuck in the future. We repeat it over and over and over again. And there's so much opportunity when you can start to change the pattern and the stories that you are repeatedly telling yourself and start to break through what is actually going on in your subconscious mind, because it's leading you on autopilot, whether you like it or not. And whether you were raised with certain beliefs around money, that it was easy to make or that it was hard to make. Meditation helps you reprogram these things and put you on a better trajectory to actually seeing the future how you want to see the future, and allowing you to, be able to achieve those goals by seeing them first in your mind. I hope that was just like enough woo to motivate you to look up Dr. Joe Dispenza, to look up the series Rewired, and to really start thinking about how you start and end your day, Or you want to throw a meditation in the middle of the day? Awesome. I've definitely found that having a morning meditation and a gratitude practice, like I have started actually becoming really, it's been life-changing coming across meditations of gratitude that bring tears to my eyes. And I think the reason that is that when you feel gratitude, you can't feel lack. You can't feel those other things. So that has been, Sarah Blondin has just some incredible meditations that for me, the poetry, the way that she explains things, she's just incredible. And I think that emotion, because we have to combine a thought with a very strong emotion, and that is what helps to change the pathways in our brain. So thank you guys so much for listening to this episode today. I would love to know your thoughts on this. And if you check out those resources that I've mentioned, definitely send me a message on Instagram. I would love to hear from you at the Ashley Shaw and tell me what things are changing for you in your life. What are you manifesting? What are you working towards? And I would love to hear your story. We'll see you back here next time on Social Selling Simplified. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks for taking the time to level up today. If you're ready to commit to personal and professional growth, move forward, make money, and grow your health and fitness business, head to my free community on Facebook, Business Bootcamp for Fitness Coaches, so I can support you every step along the way. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you right back here next week on Social Selling Simplified.